Hey there YouTube, welcome back to a lot quicker than I imagined black powder update for I suppose it would be probably early August by the time I actually get this up. Got some news, got some figures to show you which were basically I hadn't really planned on them, but I basically had a chance to get them for a ridiculous price, so I basically got them, and I decided to use them as a filler until my Hanoverian stuff came in. If you seem to remember in my last video, I think I mentioned that I actually put an order in with Wayland Games for the bulk of my troops, and strangely enough, just over a week, and my order arrived. So now I know a lot of people have a love and hate relationship with these particular figures, but I'm actually willing to give these guys a go. So there's basically Victrix, centre and flank companies. So strangely enough, one came in a box. So this is the centre flank. Now the reason I got these was specifically because of the regiment of Hanoverians that I want to do, or at least one of them, are a light battalion. So they have wings. So what a great idea. Assuming most box sets do not have enough winged troops in a basic box set to actually make up a regiment. So I thought getting these guys would be a really good idea. Plus the fact that you actually get 52, so I'll only be using 18 of them because I've got Metal Command. So I can actually probably get a good 2, if not 3 battalions of troops out of this. So I'll probably end up perhaps even doing maybe start on the King's German Legion from the same box set. Okay, so that's one set, and the second set came in this style, the same as the artillery, in this sort of clear bag. So I picked up also just a normal centre company as well. Basically, I mean, these guys are really no more bothered to put together than Warlord guys, or even some of the Perry's figures. So it's not really that much of a big deal to stick arms on. I'll just do my classic style of painting the body first and doing the arms separate. And again, this actually was mainly got for my second battalion of Hanoverians, which more or less follow the same style of more or less wearing normal British equipment. But obviously the reason why again is because these guys can be used for other battalions. So that's those two out of the way. I'll quickly show you the command packs. I got one from Perry's and one from Front Rank, although the Front Rank guys are actually in a Perry's box. These are the Perry's command group. Now I have actually swapped out their standards because I picked up, when I ordered from Front Rank, I picked up a pack of tassels and a pack of like metal standard poles. I mean, there's the original Perry's ones there. They're not too bad, the Perry's ones, but I know from experience that they're too short for a GMB flag. So it's a good idea that I didn't actually get some of these in. I mean, you can see if I compare them, they're a good deal longer than the Perry's standards. Although flags wise, I'm actually using the Warlord flags from my original Hanoverian box set, because I'm keeping them with that sort of style at the moment. I know there's always this big hoo-ha about Hanoverian colours, but I started originally with putting on the the original 2 Warlord flags, and I don't particularly feel like wasting a figure to just give them the one. So I'm going to go with the bogus colours from Warlord. I mean, I suppose you could say that all the Hanoverian colours are bogus in some sort of way. But here we go, the Hanoverian command pack from Perry's. Now these guys do look a little bit on the small side for Perry's, to tell the truth. We've got the two standard guys here. They're all in the field caps. I kind of wanted the most of my troops to be in Shakos if possible, but I'm kind of glad that there's at least some guys in these sort of flat caps, because just to add a little bit of variation to the unit. And the other quite cool thing about the Perry's unit is that the sergeant's equipped with a rifle, which was something that a lot of the sergeants in a sort of light brigade would carry, even though they're not particularly the sharpshooters. And then also you get, I was under the understanding that Hanoverian units didn't have engineers, but you seem to get one in this particular box set. And then finally a drummer, and only one officer, which is a little bit odd. I kind of quite like having two officers in my command squads, but that's not the end of the world. So that is the Perry's Hanoverian command set. Now the second command set that I got was, like I said, from Front Rank, and I must admit I do really like these guys. They are, compared to the Perry's, a little bit on the chunkier side, but they're still around about the same sort of height. So these are the two standard holders, and I like the fact that they're in Shakos this time. And then we have a drummer. And a sergeant, this time carrying a musket, and he's got the flat cap on, which is kind of cool. And finally we have the two officers. I think these guys are great. And finally, just now I was under the understanding that you didn't get flagpoles with Front Rank miniatures, but you do actually get the flagpoles. I was quite surprised by that, actually. So you do get standard poles, you just don't get the tassels. So like I say, luckily I bought the tassels pack, so I've got the tassels there. And that concludes the forward, all the bits towards the Hanoverian project. So let me now show you I mean, it's not really a surprise item because I was talking about them in my last video anyway. But basically, I managed to, not only did I pick up a pack of or a box of Perry's riflemen when I put my order in for the command team, I also picked up a pack of rifles. And as originally I was going to have basically, another sort of 6 guys to add to the 2 that I'd done earlier, and just have like a little squad of, just a little independent squad of like 6 or 8 men. But like I said, I managed to spot a really cheap box of Warlord Games 95th rifles, and they were so cheap that I just couldn't turn them out, so I decided to get them. And I decided to mix them in with the Perry's guys and actually make up a regimented version of the 95th, as well as having a bunch of leftover figures. I could actually still do the idea of having the little sort of independent skirmishing group as well. So let me just bring them in. So what I've done is I've basically done a sort of a smaller base battalion style version. I was originally just going to do like 4 stands, but I thought, well, no, I'm going to put less figures on a base and have 6 bases so that they sort of match up in sort of similar size to my regular units. trying to sort the camera out here. It's actually my office chair stopping me from actually getting them in a shot. There we go. Yeah, here we go. So as you can see, they're basically the same size as a normal battalion, apart from the fact that there's only 2 or 3 figures on each base. And I thought that looked really quite cool. So let's give you a closer look. So I think these two here are actually 2 of the Perry's guys. They were a little bit boring to paint, I must admit. I mean, I suppose it's just the base colouring that's kind of boring, but I did like the fact that because they got black strapping, you didn't have to bother picking out the backpacks, which was quite handy. Because it's always a big bane of mine, is having to paint the white strapping on the backpacks. But yeah, these guys, these are, like I say, the Perry's are really nice. And you can kind of tell the Perry's guys because the majority of them have backpacks. But yeah, that's the first stand. I really do like the Perry's rifles. But it was kind of it was definitely a budget thing. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the Warlord guys. I'd say if there was any one criticism is that there's a few too many. I'm not a big fan of prone figures, and I'm also after reading that the 95th hardly ever used their sword bayonets as actual bayonets for 2 reasons. One, because the major one obviously being that they can't actually fire their rifles with them on, and second, you know, if you've got a sword bayonet, then you might as well use it as a sword bayonet and not actually put it in your rifle at all. But yeah, I think all three of these guys are Warlord guys. Try and bring my hand in. So that's the second base. Now I did them in like a batch of 2. I did 10 guys originally, and then I followed them up with the final 6. So here we have, this is actually the these last 2 bases I've just shown you were the last 6 that I did, and they were all Warlord guys. I mean, there's a classic example of a guy with his bayonet on, obviously thinking about charging. This guy here has decided to charge forward suicidally with his bayonet on, while the others are giving him cover. So that's them. And we have another couple of Perry's guys mixed in with these. Obviously you can tell because they've got backpacks. Yeah, I've just noticed that this particular guy here, I've actually forgotten to do his eyes. If you look, he's just got the whites. So I go in and put a couple of dots on. Won't even bother revarnishing because I don't think his eyes are going to be chipping off. This is the group with the sergeant on. Now obviously this gives me the option of having 2 stands of 3. Split them into 2 groups. That gives the option. Obviously he can be a command figure for that. This has got 1 Perry's guy on it, I believe. Oh, that's actually 2. There you go. That's the final 2 Perry's figures. And the Warlord being Sergeant. I mean the Sergeant being Warlord, sorry. There we go. That's those 2. And finally, the officer and the trumpeter. And that is the 95th Rifles, which are a non-historic unit to be added to my army, but it does give me an extra unit to play against my French, which if you remember me saying, they do actually outnumber my British by a good couple of units. So adding these guys is definitely a good move. Now, slightly out of the bolt action realm, when I was doing my plastic and metal mountains, when I was going through my foreground buildings, I decided to build one. So I'll bring it in because I don't think I've ever shown any of these buildings in any of my videos. This is one of those foreground Arab dwellings. I can't remember which number it is. I think it could be number 2. It comes in like the clear bag style, so it's not in a box. Oh, actually, here's the instructions. It's it's actually Middle Eastern terrain Arab rural dwelling number 3, and here's the instructions. So let's show you this. This is a great build. I really do like these buildings. I seem to remember saying when I was actually doing the video, I have built one before, which didn't have the staircase, so it's just like a sort of a normal building. But I'll show you this because I think these buildings are great. You can see like a really nice front. Got some blinds for the window. You had a choice of 2 different types of window, and you get these optional chunks that you can take out to make it look as if there's like exposed brick. I normally take full advantage of those bits. And then we've got some really great stairs going up to the roof, and on the roof we have an opening trapdoor, and the roof lifts off to show you a rather bare inside. But and obviously the front door opens as well. Yeah, I thought I'd just quickly show you one of those because they are really great buildings. They're a little bit on the difficult side to put together, but they're not difficult by any standards. They're just a little bit fiddly. Lots of using pegs and using elastic bands to make sure stuff sticks down. Now I did actually have a few gaps which I filled in with plastic putty, and then kind of went over with like a sort of a mixture of paints, and it ended up coming up really quite cool looking. It looks as if there's sort of like they've done a few repairs on the sort of you know, like the moisture's got in and it's sort of expanded the building a little bit. But yeah, that's the just a little odd extra to add on to the end of this video. That is the end. Obviously my next video will probably be me starting my Hanoverians, so I probably won't finish a battalion by the next video. So it might be approximately maybe a week late. But black powder stuff is back on. Plans for the future. Obviously, I've still got lots of French infantry to get as well. I do actually have one flag set for the, I think it's the 70th line for French, and obviously I'll start bolstering the French infantry up, because obviously my French are it's strange because the French have got a bigger army than my British, but they've got less infantry, but more cannons and more horses. So that's the sort of the strange sort of trade up between the British and the my French forces. Anyway, I'm waffling. Please like this video and subscribe, and hit the old bell if you want notifications of when I put videos up, and of course please comment. You know, I always enjoy it when people comment on my videos, and as I've said in many a video before, I always try and, as long as I've got something relevant to say, then I'm always happy to comment on other people's videos, as I'm sure a lot of you have heard from me. Now I'm just going to bring this book in because I found this book quite handy when I was doing my 95th Rifles actually. It's quite an old book, but it's basically Wellington's Army recreated in colour photographs, and it is a really nice book actually. It's all basically reactors. Try and zoom out and give you a quick flick through. But it covers all sorts of, well, I suppose all sections of sort of like Napoleonic, the Napoleonic British forces. So it's got like some camp followers, it's got the horse artillery, it's got the Royal Artillery, cavalry. Some really nice colour pictures of actual proper uniforms, where, you know, sometimes when you're having to take all your references from there's some light dragoons, some I think about the old surgeons there, some of the surgeons' tools, and then what's this, Union Lifeguard Cavalry, and then of course the 95th Rifles, which I found quite handy. You've got the old officer there with the rimless shako, and there's the same style of trousers as the officer in the 95th, the Warlord box set's got on. And of course, just the regular infantry. I'd say that the only annoying thing about the sort of the 95th section is that this is the only shot of sort of this side of an infantryman, and you can't quite see the powder keg properly. But I basically worked out in the end that it's a white colour with brass on either end, and it seems to be quite shiny brass as well. And then of course there's the old sword bayonet. And you also get variations in these as well. You get ones that are just all bronze, and then you get some that have got like black handles. But yeah, and if we continue on going through, we've got the little bit on the Brunswickers, got guys in great coats, and then we start going into the bit about the officers, and then various regular troops as you go through. Yeah, so that's quite a handy little book. Every now and then, it's not the most useful book ever, but it does come in handy every now and then, and it's a nice book. So this is the end of this video. Should be back probably in 3 weeks, but you never know. Perhaps I've got I must admit I have got a little bit of a painting bug at the minute. So until next time, I'll catch you later.